Right. So please share a couple of key words of what you'd like me to talk about today.
Dispelling fear. Intention.
Recognize the will of God and what to do with it.
Changing of program.
Gratitude. Get it right.
Embodiment.
Anchoring the 5 P's.
What?
Anchoring the 5 P's.
Unicorns. Yeah.
Start from top.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? It's Sedona, right? You don't go to, like, I don't want to name any towns, but certain towns you don't go to and hear. Can we hear about unicorns today? Do you know the song? We can do it. Green alligators and the long necked geese. Remember that song? Yep. You're too young, but cats and rats and elephants. And don't forget the unicorns. It's a great song. Sort of about the Noah's Ark, except they forgot to tell the unicorns, and that's why they don't exist. The unicorns, they didn't get the memo about the flood. Why? Because they're spaced out, man. They're just unicorns. Unicorns. Well, yeah. Unicorns, just a quick note. Unicorns in mythology symbolize our innocence, but why the horn? It's the third eye. So it's an animal that symbolizes our awakening and our purity and our innocence. Well, there you go. And that's the end of service today, So the third eye, and that's why only the innocent can see them. And don't believe that mythology is mythology as it's taught. Don't think that it's academic and it's just intellectual and those things didn't exist. They did exist, and they do exist. But they were smart, and they decided to live in a different dimension where only people with higher dimensional consciousness or dementia can see them. Okay, that's for unicorns. Let's go. Check. Oh my gosh, and so many things that we're asking, and it sounds like we're getting these abstract words people are throwing out. How about this and 5G and on and on and on, 5D. I did a talk 5G versus 5D, but that's another story. So it sounds like these are different things people are requesting, but everything is the same. Everything, talk about any topic and it all connects. And that is to say, everything's about connection or a lack of connection. And even a lack of connection is still talking about connection. It's just the connection you're not feeling. So when we tie together these higher concepts, it's so beautiful. You'll know that you're ascending. You'll know that you're growing in consciousness. And one of the best ways to gauge it is to look at how much you connect things. The more you talk about separation, the more you're falling. And the more you make connections. And it could be like personal, like, wait, I'm just watching a movie and, oh my God, click, 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 and you connect the dots. And it might sound like you're reaching sometimes. Did he just say that in that movie? Oh my God. And people around you might say, dude, it's just a movie. To you, it's not just anything, because when you wake up, nothing is just anything anymore. To me, it's amazing, these concepts, that something so simple, just the more I see, speak, feel connections, which we sometimes call synchronicities, the better off I am and the more I'm evolving. The downside is, and we've done talks just on synchronicity, the downside is sometimes people confuse synchronicity with us manufacturing things that we want to see. So there are people that so badly want to find a perfect partner. they'll manifest their psychic, their astrologer saying, I'm sensing someone new's coming into your life, and you're like, I knew it. Well, you made them pick that up from you. So you're like, you better tell me about a partner or I'm not paying you. And they're like, I'm seeing a partner. Not because the psychic has the problem, but you're manipulating their mind. That's why the psychic should say nothing but God here. No ego allowed. And you should be saying the same thing. And then take responsibility. Because when you go and find your flame, your twin flame in the Wheaties aisle of Whole Foods, and they burn you the next day, they betray you, don't be blaming the psychic. Wait. I guess I was probably putting out a message a bit strongly. I guess I should be careful not to infiltrate my own readings. Take responsibility. And it's all okay. It's all fun as long as you can laugh at yourself at these things. But one thing we have to really understand, synchronicity, for example. Everything in this universe happens in cycles. The moon phases, 24-hour cycle, the 4 seasons, karma, reincarnation, that's all cycles. But you know what else happens in cycles is your healing process. That happens in cycles. Everything happens in cycles here, which is why people are so depressed. Because they go, I thought I worked on this. Why is this coming back? Now you can say, oh, that's right, cycles. So somebody will be out there and say, well, it's like peeling an onion, You never, there's always more layers. I don't know what kind of onion you're peeling, but there is an end. The onion doesn't just keep multiplying itself. You got some fractal onion or something that's from some higher dimension that just keeps manifesting more onion layers. No, there is an end. So when you hear somebody say, well, it's like an onion, there's always more layers. First of all, leave them. But step aside and say, wait a minute. An onion has an end. What they mean to say is that it feels that way. And so let's explain that. Think of a spiral, but flat. Spiral, all the way out to here. Now, what people are thinking is, now remember this, there's 12 o'clock on that face of that spiral, right? There's 6 o'clock, picture a clock face like on this spiral. So there's this spiraling around. There's a 12 o'clock, a 6 o'clock, and so on. But replace 12 o'clock with your issue. Think of an issue you have. Abandonment, 12 o'clock. Funny, huh? You have a girlfriend going, abandonment at 12 o'clock. Like when they see a new boyfriend for you, Girlfriend to girlfriend, abandonment at 12 o'clock. Betrayal at 6 o'clock. That's all of us. And what's really, really hard on our nervous systems and on our souls, our hearts, is that we're going to go from 12 o'clock and you're going to come back to 12 o'clock because everything's in spirals. If you have abandonment, it's going to keep happening. Every time you make a loop in your evolution, you're coming back to 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and so on. Now, the great news is your mother, Divine Mother, she knows about this, and she has a plan, and she's betting on you breaking free of this. The bad news is the ego also is aware of this. And so they have 2 different approaches. The ego is going to say, look how long it takes to get all the, and everything has vibration. And when you're at the outer ring of one of these loops, this spiral, it's, that's the sound it makes. Just exhausting. Heavy, low sound. And when you get to the center, it gets to be, higher pitch, right? Just, So you can tell where you are at any given moment in, evolution. But this is a flat plane, let's say. And the average person tries to stay asleep, by the way. The average person tries to stay numb and asleep and not be aware of any of this. They think it's all accidental, coincidental, it just happens. So everything's happenstance. That's very depressing. They think that's not depressing because they're manufacturing stories to make this make sense, but what they're saying does not make sense. Everything's just kind of happenstance. So we go from it's all random to, no, I think there's this spiral. Oh, okay. And when I'm working way out here, it takes longer to work on my stuff. But this is a flat plane. So again, no matter where I go on the spiral, I'm at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock. My issues keep happening. Here I am, abandonment again, betrayal again. And the ego wants you to see it only on a flat plane. Again and again, the stuff comes around because it's exhausting. And the ego wants you exhausted. That's what the ego is. It enslaves you. It wants you to feel no hope. Bless you. However, the Holy Spirit, the Divine Mother, is actually doing something very different from the ego's approach. So the Divine Mother says, honey, would you like some education here? No. I want to stay broken and just commiserate about 12 o'clocks and 6 o'clocks. And so it is, she says. Happy birthday. That's going to be your gift for today. Or you say, yes, you know what? I of myself am nothing. My life is out of control, and it's time to reach to a higher power that can see all of this that I can't see. The Holy Spirit then would walk up and say, I want to show you something. You know, how many times have you done the 12 o'clock issues this year alone? Or this life alone, this lifetime? Yeah, 3 times this year, 85 times this lifetime. Okay, she says, I want to show you something. She takes the center of the spiral that's actually cut, like one of those Christmas trees that pop up, and she pulls it upward, and now it becomes a cone. And she says, now, remember you worked on this and this, and I want to show you something. When you worked on 12 o'clock issues a year ago, 10, 50 years ago, whatever, you were at this level of the spiral. What you didn't know is that every time those issues came around, you were spiraling higher. Unless you decided to push the pause button. Then you are still at the same issues that you had a year ago, 10 years ago. Well, how do I get from 12 o'clock on the first level of the spiral to 12 o'clock on the 50th level of the spiral, or whatever number? And she'll say, well, that's only through love and forgiveness, through healing. Something has to take you a notch higher. And this is, to me, this is very intriguing, the way all of this works, because we have words like, the inner Christ, and these wonderful ascension and concepts like that. And we're not our own best guides in anything. Least of all, when it comes to spirituality. It's better to surrender to the Divine Mother. The mother aspect of God, called the Holy Spirit, is our bridge home. She is our mother. She is to care for us and wash off the scraped knee and take care. She's to get us to the dentist or whatever we need to do in life. She's there, but she doesn't force. She awaits our request because she's infinitely loving and patient. We think God, many people assume and think God is some sort of intense, controlling energy. If it was intense and controlling, people would have been obliterated a long time ago. This being says, oh, look, it's only 50 million years, and you're still having the same 12 o'clock issues. You know, it's like, wow, and the same 6 o'clocks and so on. But what's amazing to me is that everything's happening in cycles. If you're a counselor or you see a counselor, you should let them know this if they don't already know. Everything happens in cycles. So if you had abandonment as a child, it's going to keep coming around because it's been placed on the clock. Now, by nature, even counselors would know, of course, that, I say even, I'm not saying it's because they're ignorant. It's that even in psychotherapy, which isn't always a spiritual practice, there's an understanding that things happen in cycles. They just don't include God in the solution. Not all counselors. I'm saying academically, that's not how they're trained. So, it's not like there's, God 101, in their training, and then up from there. So we go through this system, and it's amazing because, here comes abandonment again. And if you have a wise counselor, they're going to say, well, don't take it too personally, these things cycle around again. So if you had abandonment at 5 years old, here it is. It's not unexpected, honey. They'll say to you, look, you're 12 and then you're 53 and these things cycle around. Our job is to do some healing, talk about it, whatever. The thing is, it's actually arrogant for you to think, well, first of all, you go from being a victim of the cycling, and that's not healthy. But you think you woke up when you started seeing through and realizing it's a cycle. It's cyclical, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fix the cycle. This is what we're doing, and it sounds like, wow. Anybody want to testify? Yes, I want to testify. I decided to heal myself. It's sort of better than the other by doing nothing. But when you think you're going to heal yourself, fix yourself, you're still going to get stuck. So the human ego will trick us into thinking that by you replicating, this is why you have 5 former dads. This is why you have 6 ex-wives. Why the stuff keeps cycling. Because we actually have we got on board and said, oh, I like this idea of cycling. Because that way I can be in control and fix my problems. In other words, you're hugely responsible for recreating some of the same garbage. But why did you do it? Because you subconsciously thought, I'm going to get it right this time. After how many more millions of years do you have to try to get it right this time? Oh, I'm definitely going to get it right this time. The ego has no intention of you getting it right. And the ego is even behind your attempt to create your own cycles or recyclings of your issues, knowing you're probably not going to get it. So it's like this gambling board. And the Holy Spirit's banking on you, betting on you, and the ego is not betting on you. Which one usually wins? The ego, because nobody's choosing the other guide. To be able to say to the Holy Spirit, okay, I'm starting to get frustrated. I realize that I've been trying to fix my 6 o'clock issues. How have I been trying to do that? Well, advice from friends and from myself. And you know what you need to do is you need to never do that again. Don't ever call them back when they, and all these attempts to guard and fix ourselves. Right? See, that's what we're doing. All those conversations about don't do this anymore. Don't never trust men. That'll do it. Okay, there we go. So you find a masculine woman. She's going to find you. He's going to find you. You can change genders. The person can, you can change from your original abuser being a male, go to a female. It's not going to keep you safe. They can have different hair color, different skin color. You can try to hide, but it doesn't work. You must face yourself. If you have 6 o'clock issues, they're coming around. You can dress them in a monkey suit. They're coming around. You can say, but it wasn't my fault. I didn't notice that. I didn't recognize them. Because the original was a male, this was a female. The original was this and this was that. Ignorance is no excuse. We're involved with these cycles and we create them. And so you were not at blame, but you were partly responsible for bringing and rehiring someone, signing a contract for them to bring back the same 6 o'clock issues. And then what we do is we get broken, we get heartbroken, wounded. That person, who was it? Oh, a guy named George, and it was a girl named Sally, and so on and so on. You're naming them. The more you evolve, you're going to say, oh, it was a 6 o'clock. What was their name? Let's just call them 6 o'clock. You retire the names, the personalities, the pinpointing identifications. Because the more you do that, the more you're pinning a resentment, a judgment. No. Yeah. There were 5 people in my life that, oh my God, they were masterful 6s. Wow. They were great at being 6 o'clocks. That's how to start looking at it. They played roles. They were not nice roles. They were selfish and hurtful and all. We get that. But how did they end up on your spiral? And so the mother has this trick where she'll say, what's happening, honey? Oh, I'm just going through this, And you can name it. Oh, there's George, this guy named George in my life. Really? Okay. And what's George doing? Well, he did this and that. Well, let's look at your spiral. What was it again? Abandonment. Oh, look, that's already on your spiral. Wait, you met George last week. The spiral is 1 million years old. Was George the problem? No, he was just the latest assigned to your 6 o'clock. Fine. What am I going to do now? Well, honey, you're already halfway there. We took the blame off Charlie or Sam or George or whomever. We took the blame. Doesn't mean we're saying they're wonderful people behavior-wise. We're saying I'm not going to get caught up in the identifications. Okay, done. 6 o'clock. So what am I going to do, Mother? She says, well, let's go from talking about them, what they did, and get it out of your system. If you do need to talk about it, let's go ahead. Well, George did this and that and scream into a pillow and vomit and do whatever you have to do to, you know, oh, God, there's this technique. Oh, George, I hate you. You know, if that's what you need to do, do it. Try not to cause harm. Don't write to George and tell him everything that you're vomiting. Especially since George might go, I love this. Because if they're really sick, they enjoy the view. So I'm not saying don't ever write letters. I'm saying not in hurtfulness. So you get it out. And she says, are you feeling okay? Yes, no more, nothing is left in my stomach to vomit. Okay, cool. Would you like to go to the next level? Yes, I would, Mother. Yes, I would, Holy Spirit of God. Now, let's start looking, instead of about them, let's look at you, your patterns. Tell me about 6 o'clock. Well, it's betrayal or whatever the topic might be. But betrayal, let's say. And it happens, and every so often, and it hurts me, and I get confused, and I have low self-worth because of it. Now we're talking about you. We're halfway home, guys. When you stop talking about them, you're already halfway home. Talk about you and the hurts. How I feel. Not what you did, how I feel. And I not only feel hurt by what you know happened in my life, what people seemingly did over and over, I also feel frustrated that I keep doing this. Well, honey, tell me more about you keep doing that. What am I? Am I stupid? Am I blind? What's wrong with me? See, instead of what's wrong with them. What's wrong with me that I don't see this? Well, why would you think anybody would not want to see it? Well, because I feel terrible thinking, oh, there you go. That's why you've used the amnesia excuse. I don't remember hiring these people. And you get through that. You get through it and you talk it out. And she's saying, tell me more. Tell me, yeah. And you gradually start getting to me, my patterns. And then what's really amazing, let's pretend you went to sleep that night after doing some soul work. You wake up the next day, and it's still 6 o'clock. I still am thinking and still have some awareness of that hurt. That happens, doesn't it? But what you don't realize is while you were sleeping, the mother took you and lifted you 1 or 2 or 3 more rungs of the spiral. Yes, you're still at 6 o'clock. If this was flat and linear, you don't realize you've spiraled up and evolved a few spirals. Does that make sense? So the Holy Spirit, there. Why does she put you back at 6? So you and your ego won't get too suspicious. That's why. The ego is going to go, wakes up and goes, wait a minute. Weren't you I'm still at 6, okay. As long as you're still at 6, the ego won't get too aggressive. But it does get suspicious. I could swear you were lower. How does it know at all that you're up a few spirals? Because you're not reacting the same as you did yesterday to the 6 o'clock. If you're still as hateful and blameful, it'll say, I have nothing to worry about. You're as messed up as you were yesterday. But when it senses someone's not as upset, so wait a minute. You know, yesterday it was George's fault. Today you're not even talking about George. Something's changed. And you're like, no, I didn't do anything. And the Holy Spirit's like, yeah, baby. It's moved you on the game board. And that's our destiny. It may not feel like you're getting anywhere. It may not feel like you're reaching that, higher intention you're asking about. What about setting intention? You set your intention to the light at the end of the tunnel. You set your intention to the center of that spiral. You're already getting there. And what's really, really strange is these high teachings of Christ consciousness, such as found in A Course in Miracles. He's going to say, you aren't capable of judging where you are and whether you're progressing or not. You're not aware of this whole thing. although now you are more aware of it. But most people don't know that there's this spiral. There's just, you're still going to come around to 12 o'clock issues and 6 o'clock issues. That's not to say you're not evolving. Stop seeing it as a flat linear experience. Blow it out into a Christmas tree and get your star, which is you, to the top of the tree. This is where I'm going. And even if we were to flatten it, I've changed something, which is I no longer see myself way out here on the spiral. I think I'm getting into here. Mostly, how do you know? Mostly because of how you feel. You react as much as you used to. If you still, you meet somebody whose name starts with the letter G, and you haven't, you're way out here, man. Just the letter G. They say, let me introduce you, I got this friend of mine, and it's a woman. And her name starts with G, and you're like, I hate people with the letter G. That's not really a great testament of being like centering, getting in your center. They're still hurt. How do I feel about that? Am I telling you, guys, get away from the hurt? First of all, people deserve and have the right to feel hurt when people have done things that feel hurtful. So be patient and be kind to yourself. Don't say, well, Michael was saying I should be in the center, so I'm going to not feel any of this. That's not it. Start off with how you feel out here. Don't try to fix yourself, though. Call on the Holy Spirit. And you can have gut-like conversations with her or Jesus or whatever you choose. You can say, oh my God, I'm trying to om every day, chant every day. I'm starting to really center. I've got a bowl, Tibetan bowl that I use, and I burn incense, and I feel great, Monday, great, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, something happened and I just went right back into the rage. What are you supposed to do? Shame yourself for it? That's an old school religion type of thing to do to yourself. I'm not going to shame myself. You know what I'm going to say? Bloody hell. Holy Spirit, I got to tell you, I am so ticked off, and you can use words other than ticked. I am so ticked off. God, I was meditating, chanting, oming. I was starting to feel the presence, and I started even, feeling like dancing and moving, and I felt so in communion. And then that blankety blank called. They called, and they did their usual game playing. Say it. Say it. Imagine that she's like, I know. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? What do you mean wonderful? No wonder we don't trust you, God. Say it. Say it. Get it out. Because she's going to enjoy it. She's not going to take your hurt personally. She'll say, get it out of your system. Because if you repress it, you cannot find the center of the spiral. Get it out. Get it out of your system. God doesn't care that I know this sounds sacrilegious to some, but God doesn't mind that you cuss and swear and doubt. Moses did it. Great beings throughout time have done that. They had those moments. But do you believe that is true? You have to learn not to not say and feel that way. You have to learn to not take it so seriously. Get it out of your system and say, okay, now that I got all that out, I probably don't hate you. I probably don't completely distrust you. What I meant to say was, I'm frustrated. You think she's surprised? It's not like God sits there going, la, 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 I can't hear this. You're being mean to me. God doesn't have an ego to get bruised. God's saying, honey, anything you do, whether it's prayer or screaming, anything you do that if a moment later you feel better, I'm all for it. I want you to find peace and happiness. Screaming isn't going to cause peace and happiness, but it'll alleviate some of the things that prevent peace and happiness. It'll get some of that out of the way. So, we have to pop that spiral up. See it differently. See and realize that, I think I am getting somewhere. So that point from A Course in Miracles is that in there you're being told you are spiraling upwards. And there's a workbook lesson or several that say something along these lines, which is like, you don't know your own best interests. You don't realize the progress you're making. So don't try to be in control of it yourself. Of myself, I can do nothing. And it doesn't matter if this is your prosperity level spiral, your health spiral, or whatever it is. They all happen as a spiral. And you are making progress. Jesus, through A Course in Miracles, is personally telling you, brothers, sisters, let me just say this, even if you don't read the Course, just get this one point. Even when you think you're going backwards, all things happen for the greater good and moves you forward. That doesn't mean war is good. God isn't behind that type of stuff. God is behind us believing in our creations. And when we believe we create hatred and war and dislike for each other and so on, there is a divine being in us that simply says, and so it is. But we have to get our opinions to be more in alignment with love instead of hate. Either way, the answer at the end of the sentence is going to be, and so it is. I don't like certain people, and so it is. Now I have conflict and tension with that group of people. The mother just keeps saying, and so it is. But she adds, would you like more? No. Okay, and so that is. But she's always saying, would you like to know anything more? Would you like me to help? No. The ego in us wants to block out healing. That's why people in recovery end up saying, right early on in my recovery program, I need to recognize I'm not doing a good job with myself. I need to rely on a higher power. That moment is like a humility. It's not something that humiliates. It's a humility, a recognition. I didn't even know there was a spiral, let alone layers, let alone the Holy Spirit, how she works on me. That's perfect. That's, humble. So I'm open to something else helping me see this differently. And so he's saying in that material, you are making strides. Everything is moving everyone in that direction. Well, it doesn't look like it, because let's face it. Think about where humanity is on that spiral. For some reason, the word Neanderthal comes to mind. Like we're way down the spiral as a human race, if you look at it with your eyes. But if you enter the soul level of consciousness and you pop this up, humanity won't look like they're as primitive as they're acting. What you'll start to see is this, for example, you might go, meditating on this concept, and something's coming to mind. If I pop that up, where's humanity? Well, they feel like they're way over here. True. But I wonder if humanity is really rising in an ascension process. And I wonder if the ego isn't fighting harder to destroy this concept and keep everybody broken. Now, how do I know the ego you might say, well, do you have proof of that? Actually, yes. But here's why I know that it's happening. Why would humanity need to go through so many things that are crazy if the ego didn't feel threatened? So the greater the light, the darker the shadow. The more we're waking up, the more the ego's going, oh, we can't have this. Starting around 1950, major waves, new waves of light started coming into our solar system to create an ascension process. This didn't start yesterday. It started happening years, decades, ago. And by the time you reach the 1111 convergence, by the time you had the harmonic convergence, by the time you reach the end of the millennium and you're going to the year 2000, by the time you get to the 2012, these are all pivotal dates of humanity going up new levels. And humanity, when those dates passed, they came and went. People went, I guess it failed. I was holding a crystal at 9/11 or the 11/11 convergence. I was holding a crystal, but I'm still here. And once again, you think you failed. The ego wants it constantly to feel like we're failing. And all you need to do is be dense enough to use your eyes to look at your body and go, I'm still here. Ooh, a new wrinkle, and think you failed. Our job is to become so adamant about who we are and that this spiral is working for the greater good and we are all going home and we're almost there. It's happening. And if you're really clear about that, you won't notice the wrinkles anymore. And even if you saw one, it wouldn't have a depressing effect. So if you have back pain and you still have to take meds for it, so what? Take the damn meds. If you're a diabetic, you take the meds and then you smile and go, isn't this funny? I'm a divine being that doesn't even have a body, but I think I need this medication for my sugar level. It's kind of funny. It is. It's kind of funny. Don't take it so seriously. And there are people that have sent us emails. You know, the team says they get these, you know, they get all mad because they say don't take things so seriously. That's why they get mad. You know, one of us is happy. I don't know. Call me silly. Call me presumptuous. But I'm just thinking maybe not being enraged at spiritual teachers might help you a little. So what am I going to tell you? You know, try that. Yeah, right. Yeah, just think of this as like a CBD lecture, you know. Let it chill, man. Let it just relax you. You know, it's not supposed to be like some, you know, intense problem. We're talking about love and hope. And some people will get mad at you for believing in hope. They will. Some people are going to get mad at you for daring to get a divorce knowing that you'll be okay afterwards. They get mad at you. You know, how dare you not be miserable like I was when I got divorced? Or there are family members that will get mad at you for getting a divorce because they didn't. And they don't want you reflecting that to them. How dare you? So what you shouldn't do is, have I told you lately how happy I am since I got divorced? I don't think that's tactful. But I also don't think you should like, you know, like sad face and be miserable. I don't think you should hide your happiness. But just, you know, these things work. Healing works, love, forgiveness, it all works. I don't think you should blast people with how much it works. If they're not there yet, let them just pick it up through your casual smiles. You don't have to, you know, take it to the next level and tell them just how blissful you are. All right? That's my take on that. But the spiral. And we're going home, and it doesn't look like it. And it doesn't sound like it. And it doesn't feel like it. Look at what we're talking about are your senses. Your human senses telling you it has evidence that we're not evolving. And if you have any doubt, if you think I'm wrong about this, just turn on a reality show. It's very evident we're not evolving. Turn on the news. It's very evident. I mean, you just flip on the news and it'd be like, oh my God, I should be worried. That's how people live. But you'll notice these things become not of interest to you anymore. It's basically like you're saying, I have only one focus, the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, but did you hear in the tunnel, there's creepy characters and, you know, and there's little caverns and yeah, those are my unhealed wounds. And I'm going to keep going that direction. And they'll try to dress it up. Sparkly, dark tunnels called, you know, twin flames and whatever else people want you to go find that sparkles. Just keep saying, all I need is God and me. That's all I need. Because that's all that is. It's all that is God and me. Well, what about others? They're you. They're you. So when I'm walking down that tunnel, I have complete conviction and intention. I'm waking up. I don't want to, you know, it's not that you're in denial of what people feel. It's not that you're in denial that gas prices go up. But your focus is to say, but I'm not going to be afraid. I'm choosing to not try to spiral down. How do I know? The sounds I make tells me I probably started backsliding on my spiral. Ooh, that might have been an up spiral. The sounds that come out my mouth. Where was that? Down the spiral. Hopefulness, feelings of peace. And there are people in this room that aren't liking what I'm saying because you're still hurt so much. I don't blame you. If I want to, I could go right to a hurt place inside of myself. All I have to do is set my intention and I can go right there. Follow? I, who teach all this, I know exactly how to go to pain, to hurt, to wounds. I could easily do that. I'm not pretending they're not there. But I have done a lot of beautiful healing, and I still do so today, tomorrow. Any day the things spiral around. Oh, look, 12 o'clock. How? Because here comes that song on the radio. You know, like, oh, you know, and just bringing up song on the radio. It could be that song. That was our wedding song. And I found out they were cheating with my bridesmaids during the wedding. You know, and how's that not going to bring up some hurt? I'm sorry. And that does hurt. That was selfish of them. Now, what do we need to do for you to go from 12 o'clock, that hurt at 12 o'clock, to 8 spirals up? To where you still have 12 o'clock abandonment in your memory, but you don't feel the same about it. Love, forgiveness, you practice, you do the work, you do your steps, as it were. Love, forgiveness doesn't mean, okay, jerk, I'm forgiving you. It's a process. It's a process. You start off screaming what a jerk they are for doing it, but do your work and you gradually start going, but there's 8 billion people on the planet. Why did I marry that one? Oh, they fooled me. Why was I so easily fooled? Because they said they would never hurt me. Why was I so willing to go with that and believe that and not listen to the fact that there were 10 ex-lovers of theirs that have restraining orders on them? Why was I not paying attention? Don't blame yourself. Just, I get it, and I'm going to wake up. You see? And you never know. The synchronicities are not just always positive, happy things. They're cycles that come around and show up, and you go, wow, what a weird, it's like deja vu. And you think, I'm not looking for deja vu because I've had enough of that, where something comes back from the past, the wounds come back around again and feel familiar. But so do healings. And all the gifts that come from healing. Those are called deja news. Brand new, okay? Wow, this is kind of cool. I don't think I've ever felt, instead of deja vu, this is like deja new. I've never felt this kind of level of peace. You know why? Because in between 6 o'clocks and 9 o'clocks, there's space where good things could have been felt. But you kept thinking, I just finished 9 o'clock garbage, can't wait till I get to 12 o'clock garbage, and 3 o'clock garbage you're forgetting. There's a 12:01 and a 12:13. There's life between all the wounds. Why have I not seen that and gone to that place? I was too hurt. And we all have been there. I have been in a place where I felt so hurt, I was praying, God, take me now. That's so much pain that I'm like, seriously, take me now. That's what pain feels like. I wasn't going, oh wait, 12:01's coming around. I feel so different. When you're in the pain, you just keep identifying with those things on the clock or on the spiral that are pain oriented. This too shall pass. You're going through a cycle of pain, and this too shall pass. You can beg for death, and death will not come. You can also beg for a person that's going to bring you new opportunities. I want to meet somebody who's going to repair all my life. Heaven help that person. Heaven help that person. There's a great song by the band Savage Garden, To the Moon and Back. And there's a line in there that says, all her friends have been trialed for treasons and crimes that, they never did. You're hiring boyfriends, girlfriends, partners, friends, camaraderie, and whatever you're trying to create in your life, but they're all being hired by a person who has 12 o'clock issues, 6 o'clock issues, and they have theirs. But we either hire people to show us our wounds, and those are people we say we don't like. We think it's them, but they're actually just, like Yogananda said, they're not causing wounds. They're rubbing up against existing wounds. And when people rub up against wounds, you yell at them. The reason you're mad at the people that you think are causing you pain is because they rub up against certain wounds. The bad news is they like it sometimes, and those are people that are selfish and hurtful. But this too shall pass. They too shall find God and not do that to people anymore. How will they get to that place? Not by you hating them. Every time you retire these people from the contracts, hiring people, I need some 12 o'clocks. Anybody? Let me see. Oh, good. Okay. This is abandonment. You're good at that? You're good at that? And somebody's going to say, I won't even get close to you and I'll abandon you. I'm one that was not even approachable. Oh, that's a new angle on abandonment. So you're going to hire people. You're going to hire people, but at the end of the day, your job, I have an announcement to make. I'm not only going to retire everybody who I've assigned roles, contracts, roles, be my 12 o'clock and be my 6 o'clock. And so I'm retiring all of them, but I also am going to retire people that I thought was going to fix me from having 12 o'clock issues. You have 12 o'clock abandonment issues? I'll be your partner, and I'll never leave you. Really? They'll never die? Never. You already shouldn't trust them. Because Buddha tells you there's nothing in this world that will last long enough to keep you happy. And that's why he said life is a place of suffering. Wow. Thank you, Buddha. Wow. You know, like, wow. There's a great motivational speaker. Hello, I have done much training and I want to tell you all life is suffering. And then you die. That's it? That's all you've got to offer and you're awakened? I'd hate to see what you're like when you're asleep, when you're you know, in the illusion. But he was telling you the truth. Not to stick with life is suffering, period. He said life is suffering and there's a solution. Your solutions will not work and you'll be in more pain. Just FYI. He says, but there is a solution. You have to wake up. It's an illusion. Hate me for saying it's an illusion, and you're even more in the hateful illusion. So would you like to hear about some answers? No. And you make fun of him for looking the way he did, Buddha, you know, speaking of illusion, he should lose some weight. That's, you know, where do you get these ideas? You're going to pick on me. I would love to follow Buddha, but I get this. People will post things. They'll say, I really like this guy's talk, but, and they say his hair. You know, why doesn't he get a haircut? I mean, you have somebody who's going, I almost ascended. Then I looked at his hair. Seriously, people? Seriously? And I get a kick out of some of these that the team members will show me. I'm like, wow. Most of the time I say, don't even bother showing them to me. But they're kind of funny and odd. Who does he think he is? He wears an earring or whatever they're off on today. It's a trip. So close and yet so far. So you're going to resent Buddha because he said life is a place of suffering. And you pick on him. Well, I'm a Christian, so I don't believe in Buddha. You know, it's just a reason to distance again from Buddha, from truth, from love. If you're like, well, I really love Buddha, but I don't want to hear this Jesus stuff because of Christianity, then Christianity is on your clock. And it will come around every so often. And you might think I'm safe from it. You know, because I'm going to go and live in an area that's a lot more Jewish or Buddhist or some other faith or tradition. You think you're safe. But still, you come onto YouTube and watch me or Facebook Live and you watch this presentation and I mention Jesus. I liked him until he mentioned Jesus. You know, but all that is we've gone around on the clock back to your issues again. Your job is to go, oh my God, I just realized I got triggered when he said Jesus. That's a point on the clock for me, and I want to clear it. Hey, Jesus, never met you, don't know much about you, never read your teachings, but I had this weird resentment for you because of Christianity and all that. I don't want to carry this anymore. He'd say, neither do I. Let me off the cross, you know? Okay. And you find peace. And now you're Jewish, Buddhist, whatever, and you're able to say Jesus. Your family, they're going to be like, oy vey. You know, or they're going to be upset that you're saying Jesus, and their Buddhist friends are like, oh man, that's old Christian. You're smiling more because you get it. That it's not about the guy that they think it is about. I'm learning to love everybody. Can you say the name Hitler without hatred? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Not it needs to happen. It's going to happen. Where all of us have retired everybody from the roles of saviors that are projected outside or predators that are projected outside. It's going to happen, and it is happening. So right now in the world, lots of yucky images. And I notice even spiritual people getting caught up in this. Going, I thought we were going to ascend, man, but it's all failing. John Lennon once said, looking back at my days with the Beatles, he said, at the end we started picking on each other. And he said, but it's like he was having a psychological revelation. He said, now I get it. What we were doing is, if only you had played that tambourine just right, I would be a happy person. And that's called projection. He was getting, years before it was more common in our dialogue, he was getting about projection. You think you'd be more happy if you hadn't met that person, if you hadn't this, and if Hitler hadn't, and if Jesus hadn't been crucified, or whatever else you believe in. And none of that has power over us. Jesus said to Pilate, you have no power other than that which is given to you. That's all I'm saying here. None of these people have power. You do not retire people on the clock just by going back to 6 o'clock. In fact, the ego knows that when you resurface to a certain time on the clock and react, it's layering more stuff for you to work on. See? You can't fix yourself. Do the healing with the Divine Mother. Bring God into your healing process. Have no stone left unturned. Talk about it all. Share it all. Your hurts, your hates. Open up and just blurt it. Let it come out in a safe container, whether that's in a room with a therapist or in a group or whatever the healthy place would be. So we're coming to a close. It's a beautiful thing to know that even when I think I'm way back on the spiral, everything's still moving in the right direction. I might be getting carried by the breeze the way some people can trail behind a big truck and not have to accelerate so much because the suction of the truck pulls your car. Not that you should be driving that close to a truck, but it does happen. The car will get sucked into, right? It's almost like in a plane, the version of a tailwind. You're getting scooted along. Even when it feels like everything's going crazy, there's a wind of God, tide moving everything, the winds of change, moving everything in the right direction. How do I know? Because of how crazy things are going. But we can still buy crazy. We can still bite that apple. We can still bite into it. We can still believe it. We can give up hope. And that's the direction the world is going. Giving up hope. They're going into a slump, a depression, and they're hating each other. But that's because they're not seeing what's really happening as an opportunity. I could sit here and blame how many different groups and people have screwed up the world in the last few years. Or I could say they must all be getting assigned to me in front of me so I can forgive them. Yeah, but some of the things they've done are unforgivable. Back. But when you slide back, I'm telling you, the truck ahead of you, which is us collectively, the winds are moving us forward. The Holy Spirit of God is moving us forward. One reason it's all feeling so yucky is because time is running out. We would have liked to have dragged this on for another 1,000,000 years. And yet we're being told by mom and dad now up in the sky, figuratively, by God, honey, I'm going to give you 10 more years. Wait, I got stuff to work on. If I were you, I'd start working now. And you know what we're going to do for you? Because we don't want you to feel like you were left behind. We're going to give you 10 times the number of people that annoy you every day. That's so that, because we love you. So we can speed you along. And you're supposed to be going, oh, thanks. Thanks for that. And that's how this is all working. Okay? That's how it's all working. The spiral of healing. The spiral of evolution. We are going home. The longer we take and the more resistance we put out, the more painful the experience. But you're still going home. Ascension is happening, whether you like it or not. It's not with you or without you. Ascension can't happen without somebody. But it can happen oblivious to them, meaning they could be unaware for a while longer. We're all waking up. We're not going all the way home to heaven yet, but we're going into another dimension. And those who want to stay third dimensional are going to feel third dimensional pains on their way into transitioning to 5 dimension. Let's take a few centering breaths. Thank you. You're welcome to accompany as you please, but I'll start and then have you come in, okay? We're going to let our lovely musician, artist today share, but first, just a moment of prayer meditation, and then we'll let the music be a part of the meditation, like we do sometimes. Centering, setting aside all the stuff of life, a few really clear, vivid, well-intended breaths to this effect. And then let your mind browse just slightly on what you heard today. Anything you heard that made sense, that feels right for you. Anything that doesn't, let it go. Forgive, let it go. But what did make sense, absorb that, feel that, own that. Like, yes, that's the truth. That's not Michael said, it's this is the truth. I can feel it. It's what I believe. Let it be yours. Own it. Good. Just own it. Integrate that into your heart and soul. Now, if you only heard one thing that resonated, then you're leaving this building today or signing off from online, and you're already a different person. You already know more. You already have deeper, higher understanding. That is worth celebrating. But it's still important to ask yourself, whatever you just heard that you liked, can you imagine applying that in your life in any way that would change your life for the better? Take a half a minute on that. Whatever you thought was cool to integrate, I liked this idea, this line, this comment, this concept, breathe it in and imagine, can that change your life in any way? And imagine it, visualize it happening. Otherwise, pick something else that you can imagine changing your life. And because you're visualizing it, you're turning it into something that can happen and is happening. You're setting out a frequency, a vibration that can now be followed by the material world, showing you changes in your life. Sit in that for a little longer and with an attitude of gratitude, and let the music take you to another level with it.
walk upon the light. We walk upon the light. We walk upon the light. We walk. We walk upon the light. We walk upon the light. We walk upon the light. We walk. We walk upon the light. We walk upon the light. We walk upon the light. We walk. We walk upon the light. We walk upon the light. We walk upon the light. We walk. We walk upon the light, we walk upon the light, we walk upon the light, we walk. We dance upon the light, we dance upon the light, we dance upon the light, we dance. Holding one another as sister and brother, holding one another in love. Holding one another as sister and brother, holding one another in love. We walk upon the light, we walk upon the light, we walk upon the light, we walk. We dance upon the light, we dance upon the light, we dance upon the light, we dance. We walk upon the light, we walk upon the light, we walk upon the light, we walk. We dance upon the light, we dance upon the light, we dance upon the light, we dance.
Slow, deep breath. Soak in the words. We walk upon the light, we dance upon the light. This is the will of God. This is the way of God. A nice deep breath in, tuning into the feeling of dancing upon the light with God. And for just a minute, let's let sound come through. One more breath in, please. Keep going. Take a breath when you need and just keep it going for about a minute. And so it is. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. And we don't want to come back from that stirring about too much. Just slowly relax, stretch and feel grateful. Like someone waking up, seeing a beautiful sight of the outside, the outdoors, beauty, nature, just, a bear out of hibernation, just let that light, that shining light just come through and enjoy. Bask in it. Our job, knowing these things exist on that spiral, knowing that they exist, when you meet people, they're all getting assigned placements on there. And that's what I meant by let's retire people from having placements on that, that wheel, that spiral, that clock face. If I see and continue to live with abandonment, what I'm doing is signing people up for a problem. Hi, I have a problem with abandonment. Go ahead, enter my life. How well can they do if you have those? Sign them up for problems, and there's going to be problems. I would just say start meeting people and seeing them as part of the solution. And if I were you, I would like us all to become more of the solution. Hi, how can I be a solution in your life rather than a problem? If they say, oh no, I only like to assign problematic, say that wouldn't be me. When they want to make you their abandoner, when you're not doing that, you got to step away sometimes. When they're making you the person that proves that they can't trust anybody, but yet you're being trustworthy, you got to step away, guys. Be kind about it, but you're breaking a contract that they're trying to hook you into. Are they hooking you because they're bad and you're good? No. We're all in this together, but retire the contract. Listen, it sounds like you're seeing me this way. I don't want to be that for you. That's how it is for me. I would just say, I don't want to be that role for you. So I'm going to just step back a little bit. Make sense? Thanks. Please stand for our closing. I know another couple hands were raising, but we'll do the closing prayer. I want to remind you that our beloved artist, musician today has a table. Do you have a table? Yeah. Has the table set up in the foyer. You can go and check out the material she has here. You can check her website. And for sure, let's give a round of applause of gratitude from our hearts. You have individuals like this, they spend lifetimes honing these skills. It's not something they picked up last year. This is lifetimes, and you can hear it with the ease with which they do things, the heart that you feel through it. All of that's telling you it's not a trained musician as much as it is an artist. There's something happening through them. Yeah. Centering for our closing prayer. What we're saying is not wishing for something. We're stating the truth. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are
And the presence of God watches over us.
the presence of God.
Wherever we are. God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Before you go, stand still for just few seconds. If you're watching this on YouTube, know that we do this live on Facebook every Sunday, different talks. If you're seeing it on Facebook, know that we have a catalog of different events and talks and so forth cataloged on YouTube.